I'm so excited to have Kate here today to share her experience with psoriatic arthritis. Welcome, Kate.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank you
can
for
you
the
just,
opportunity.
oh, I'm so excited. And can you just tell the audience a brief introduction, like where you live and what your relationship to arthritis is?
Yes. So I grew up in Italy, but I've been living in London for 12 years now. And I've been diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis a bit less than 2 years ago. Uh, and yeah, it's been a journey
Yeah.
and ups and downs. And I think now the final diagnosis is psoriatic arthritis, osteoarthritis, osteopenia, and they're still looking into. I have some gut problems, so they're looking into it might be Crohn's disease. They're not
Mm.
quite sure, doing some tests, but yeah, on the right path to yeah get better. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a lot of diagnoses to have to adjust to in a short period of
Yeah.
time. Can you tell me a little bit more about like 2 years ago, what was happening before you got diagnosed? Was it hard to get diagnosed or was it easy? And just walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah. So I think for me it was very difficult to kind of think that my symptoms were related to a disease rather than my lifestyle. For me, especially like being a chef, it was kind of a given to be always in pain, be always exhausted and fatigued. When I started being a chef about 15 years ago.
Mm.
And back then it was very hardcore, on my feet for 18 hours a day, um, carrying weights, chopping, slicing. Of course your hands are going to hurt. Of course you're going to feel pain in your back and your feet. Um, and back then the kitchen was kind of very old school. So don't complain, keep your head down. Everybody's in pain, everybody's feeling what you're feeling, but don't share kind of situation. So,
Right.
and I also think I wasn't ready for being my own advocate and kind of saying, oh no, there is definitely something wrong with me. I need to see a doctor. And it was only kind of in my early 30s that I decided to change my lifestyle.
Mhm.
And so kind of try to work a bit less and having a more sustainable work-life balance. And even then, I realized the symptoms didn't change that much. I was still very fatigued. I was in pain, and especially in my hands. I have it started mostly in my hands, and my fingers are slightly deformed and they're getting worse with time. So that's kind of when I realized, okay, there's something else going on. And then it was, I think, with lockdown, I think
Mhm.
everybody had the time to kind of stop, slow down, and start thinking at our priorities. So I realized, during lockdown, I was at home, I was eating healthy, I was cooking all my meals, I was exercising. There wasn't the stress of work. Of course, there was the stress of a pandemic, but still there was some pain there. So it was only then that I decided to see a doctor. Um, so obviously during the pandemic, it was very difficult to see a doctor. So it was
Mhm.
all through video calls.
Oh,
So with
wow.
a general practitioner, I saw her on video call, and because of the symptoms and family history as well. So my cousin has psoriatic arthritis, so she ran all the usual tests, blood tests, rheumatoid factor, and all of that, and nothing really came out.
Hmm.
So the only thing was I had very, very low vitamin D. I was deficient in that. So that was kind of the only thing. But then she said, since the family history and since all your symptoms are there, I will refer you to a rheumatologist. So I got
That's really
referred.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I got referred, but it was kind of still pandemic time. So I didn't hear anything for months. Then I got a letter for an appointment, and it was due like 4 months later. And by that time, I was in a very, very bad pain, um, yeah, I was very much in pain. I started working. I lost my job, my previous job, because of COVID. So that was
Oh,
very stressful for me. And I was struggling to find a job. Obviously, with, the hospitality industry was just destroyed. It
yeah.
was a very tough time. So with my new job, it was a quite a tough one. And I was very stressed, very much in pain. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I'm just gonna have it.
Oh, yeah. No, no problem. Yeah,
So
yeah, I can't imagine having your first diagnosis experience, during the pandemic. It was a very stressful time for everyone. So I
yeah.
feel for you.
So yeah, I just couldn't take it, and I remember going back home from work, and I wasn't able to hold the fork with my hand. It was so
Mm,
painful I couldn't move it, and I was just crying in pain. So I decided to see a private rheumatologist because
mm.
that was the only way that it was going to be like a lot quicker. And I did get an appointment within days.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was really good, and obviously paid a lot of money, but it was definitely
Yeah.
worth it. I just needed some help and some answers quickly. And this doctor was really helpful. He realized straight away what was going on, with all the symptoms, family history. And so he booked other tests, and he booked an ultrasound. Again, nothing,
Mm.
everything was good. Ultrasound didn't show any inflammation. He explained, and he said, there are different types of arthritis, and not all of them can show. And if you don't have inflammation at that specific moment, it might not show. And he decided to start with hydroxychloroquine straight away, and also on corticosteroids, so on prednisolone, just to help me
Mm.
with the pain. And that was really helpful. I didn't sleep for maybe 2 weeks, and
Right.
I was
Yeah.
full of energy, which was
Hmm.
amazing. And I was
Yeah.
pain free, so that was a bit different experience. But yeah, it was good. And then it was about 2 months I was taking hydroxychloroquine, and nothing happened. And by then I had the appointment with the national health
Hmm.
rheumatologist. And so the private rheumatologist basically said, the next step would be going methotrexate, but it's just so much easier for you to do it through the national health
Hmm.
rheumatologist, because you will have to do all the blood tests. And if you go privately, it's gonna obviously like cost a lot of money. So
Hmm.
wait to see what they say. But if I can be of any help, just let me know. So then when I had my first appointment with the rheumatologist, it was kind of starting from zero again, obviously, because they were
Mm.
like, we realized you've seen someone else, you've been diagnosed, but we will take that, but we will need to run all the tests again. So all
Wow.
the tests were run again, ultrasound, X-ray, everything.
Wow. You'd think they wouldn't. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just starting from zero. So it was a bit frustrating for me just to run through all this. I mean, it was fun, but it was just like, can we please find a solution? Because I was still in a lot of pain, and obviously prednisolone you can't take for a long period of time. So
Oh, yeah, and I just wanna add a quick little piece of context
mhm,
for those listening that, one of the kind of cruel ironies of these diseases is that, they tend to take a long time to get diagnosed for, like, systemic healthcare issues, whether that's in the UK or the US, where there's, long wait times, for rheumatologists. There's a rheumatologist shortage in the United States that's really, really bad for pediatric rheumatologists. And then, but the all of the data and research shows that the earlier you get diagnosed and treated, the better your long-term prognosis. So it's kind of a rude awakening, or another cruel irony, when people finally, when if you do more research on your condition and you learn that, there can be a feeling of, oh my gosh, like I suffered unnecessarily, in the sense that, like, if we could turn back the clock, and like if you could have gotten that diagnosis, you know what I mean? And I know you can torture yourself thinking
yeah.
like that. So I'm not encouraging people to think that way, but I'm saying for those listening who maybe don't have a diagnosis yet, like, there are a lot of objective reasons to be really aggressive about getting a diagnosis, because the earlier you get accurately diagnosed and treated, the better, just objectively across the board. So anyway, just throwing that
Yeah,
out as like a
absolutely.
teachable
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I realized with the private rheumatologist, I thought like he was like, let's stop now, like let's not waste any time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, different story with NHS rheumatologists. I mean, they were lovely, but obviously on their side, they needed to have all the data to make sure there wasn't something else.
Well,
So
and just for
again,
those in the United States listening or other places, NHS is the nationalized
yeah,
healthcare in the UK, or is it UK or all across the board? I don't know.
UK, yeah,
Okay.
hmm
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So they ran the
Um,
test again.
they ran the test, yeah. So and everything came back normal again. So I get a call from the rheumatologist, and she's like, "Yeah, so everything is normal, but again, your symptoms are all there. There's family history. So just to be sure, I want to do MRI of your hands because I can see there's deformity there as well." And so finally, MRI came back, and there was erosions in my hands, and which erosions that showed it was inflammatory arthritis. And in my
Okay.
left hand, I had osteoarthritis as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, okay, yes, this is you're being diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. So you did hydroxychloroquine already.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start your methotrexate. So then that journey started. And I think for me at the beginning, it was denial in a sense of maybe like protecting myself to
Yeah.
like realize what was really going on. Because I
Mm-hmm.
remember my partner, who's like, wow, you're amazing. Like, you're taking this so well. You're so strong. And I was like, yeah, because I don't believe it. But I didn't
Okay.
say anything. So everybody was like, okay, she's very cool about this. And it was like 1 month in, 2 months in, 3 months in. And then I think starting methotrexate and the side effects, and I had a massive flare up as well in the middle.
Mm.
And then I kind of realized, okay, this is real. And
Yeah.
and then from denial, it was kind of depression, anxiety of, what's gonna happen, what does this mean, how am I gonna live? Also with my work, being a chef.
Yeah.
I was reading, all these sad stories, and there's disability, there's reduced movement, and I could see my hands, and I was just panicking a little bit,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it
Yeah.
was a
So
dark moment.
no, I think this is it's such a fascinating dichotomy, because I remember in one of the first Room to Thrive group meetings we had, a lot of people were saying they felt weird for being in denial, because they're like, I understand that I have this enough that I'm here, like I've joined this program, but I also, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, do I really have it? And I think there's like this, like, I really identify with what you're saying about it being protective, because on the one hand, if you're in denial, that means that you don't have to accept this long-term chronic condition. But if you accept it, there's benefits and downsides of both, right? Because if you accept it, then you open yourself up to, there's a reason for your pain, and there's a path to improving your pain and improving your condition through, medication and lifestyle. And whereas I think for me, what protected me from going fully into denial is that, well, okay, if it's not rheumatoid arthritis, then I'm back to square one with pain with no answers. And that was the worst. So I don't know, did you feel any of that, where it was like, did you feel any relief at all to have an official diagnosis, or was it all just swirling?
I think for one part, yes. And I realized that when it was taken away from me recently, when I
Yeah.
had my follow-up appointment a couple of months ago, because obviously all of the classic medications weren't working, and I had allergic reaction with sulfasalazine as well.
Yeah.
So then the rheumatologist at our appointment, she was like, "Oh, maybe it's not psoriatic arthritis. Maybe we need to go back to square one and rethink everything." And that was when I was like, "No, no, don't take this away from me. Like, you gave me a
Yeah.
name of what this is, and I need a name. I need to know what
Yeah.
all my symptoms are and what is,
Yes.
what can help and what are the treatment for it." So yeah, I think the time that it was kind of taken away from me, and then obviously like it was, I did an ultrasound after that just recently, and I did have inflammation, so the
Yeah.
diagnosis was reconfirmed again.
No, but
But yeah, it was,
yeah.
sorry,
No,
yeah.
sorry. No, no, you keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, I think it was just, it's a long process.
Yeah.
I think all these steps of grief and like denial, depression, anxiety.
Mhm.
I think, especially like being in your group and realizing that everybody goes through them is in a way comforting, and it gives you
Yeah.
the confidence to move forward. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's what helped me the most, I think,
Oh,
realizing that I wasn't alone and there are other people that are living that or have lived and have gone through denial and depression and anxiety. And it's a circle in a way. You go back to it. You have
mhm.
some bad news. You have a bad appointment with your rheumatologist, and it's fine. But it's, as you say, you get all the tools in your box, and
Yeah.
to be able to kind of accept